Hey everyone again, it's Fick Burnett, back with another VHS video. So, as a still relatively new monster, I have racked up about 12-ish hours now, mostly on Wart. But I did want to give some advice for more new monsters coming into the game, because I have seen a few new players starting to come in, and it's really nice to see. And I know monster can be frustrating, and for me, it was about a 6 to 7 hour hill climb before I got to a point to where I was actually starting to feel like I knew what I was doing and getting to a point where I was actually having fun. So I just wanted to give some small, little relative tips that could help you out. So before we get into the tips, I do want to add some prefaces. I've mostly only played Werewolf, and that's really about it. I haven't touched Allmaster, I haven't bought Deathwire, I haven't bought the Anomaly, or tried him out really. I don't have that many perks, etc., or that many mutations. However, I feel like with 12 hours of experience, I have enough to help newer players. Some of my information might be wrong for the more experienced side of it, but this is mostly information and tips that will help you kind of get over that hump of feeling like you're playing too safe or too defensively and whatnot. Which brings us into tip number 1, which is stop playing defensive. Listen, I get it. You see 3 teens running around a corner, or you're chasing someone down a hall and it just doesn't seem safe, and you don't want to risk it. Listen, the only way you're going to start getting better at Monster and feel more confident and able to do things, you have to take those risks. You have to learn where the solo ambushes are, and you're not going to learn it just by guessing. You're just going to have to get hit by them, and that's just how it's going to have to be. For Wart, for example, you do have your armor to help you, but try not to waste it too much when you think a room has someone in it. With that being said, there are times when you do need to sit back and maybe wait a second to assess the situation. Monster has the ability to play a little slow if it needs to, but remember, every second you aren't attacking a teen is 1 second they are repositioning into a better spot where they can get a stigma from you. Tip number 2 is actually about the stigmas. So you have 4 hits you can take from each of the stigmas. What I will say is do not lose your cool. It's a very simple thing. If you go down to 2 stigmas very early, the game isn't over. It's not even close to over. I've won plenty of games after taking all 3 stigmas and only having 1 left. Teens will make mistakes. The thing is, if they start using 3 stigmas, that means there's 3 weapons that are off the board right then and there. That's 3 vulnerable people. Yeah, the 4th one's still there, but it's not likely that they made 1 of each weapon for a variety of reasons. But yeah, just don't lose your cool. Keep your composure and just try to learn the maps and try to figure out what teens do generally. On to teens. What I will say is a lot of teens hide. Stealth is a huge component of this game, and that does mean audio is huge to start to learn. Now, the monster's footsteps are very loud, and you'll have to learn to play around that. My suggestion is every now and again, try to find a corner or a spot in a room and just stop moving so your footsteps stop going off. And just listen. You will get used to hearing these things. It does take a while, and it's a lot of game sense, but eventually you will. Next is the weapons. So, a lot of the weapons, I'm not going to go into every single one. There are a few notable ones I do want to mention. The cross and the flamethrower are very good at solo ambushing, which will happen, and general ambushing. Someone will come across the corner, get to the max range of the flamethrower cross, hit you, you're too slow to get to them, and you can't back up because you're too far into it. Just take it, learn from it, learn where they did it from, and see if you can stop it from happening next time. Next is the eye and the sphere. These 2 weapons are extremely controversial. I have learned a lot about these weapons that have helped me avoid them a lot. For the eye, here is my biggest suggestion for the eye, and something that has surprisingly worked well for me. The eye is a first-person view, so the teen can lose sight of you. However, it's a 50-50 game if they do. They can't hear you as easily. They still can though, so they'll know if you dip around a corner. Honestly, start running towards where the eye came from if you can figure it out. That will start freaking them out and get them off of the eye. Other than that, try to eat it with Wart's armor or a doll. That's really all you can do. For the sphere, the biggest thing about the sphere, it can't go over vaults. If you start hearing the sphere go off, you don't have armor, you don't have how you don't have any way to stop it, look for a vault. The sphere cannot go over the vault. It will eventually hit you if they can find a way around it, but for the most part, if you can find a decent vault spot, you can avoid the sphere almost entirely. Also, if you hear the sphere and there's no vault nearby and you have no other choice, run at them. Try to get that hit before they get the sphere off. The thing is, they're gonna get the hit if there's no vault nearby. So might as well do it in a spot they probably don't expect you to be, which is right in front of them. Now this one's gonna sound weird because I played Ward a lot, but for newer players, I actually recommend Werewolf. Mostly because Werewolf, she's a bit easier to use, but that's not really the reason why. She, in my opinion, feels better to use. Wart can often feel slow and clunky and kind of encourages bad gameplay, especially when you're starting to learn, in my opinion. But Werewolf teaches you to throw it all to the wind and just go in. And I think that provides a lot more learning experiences than Wart often does. The tracking ability from Werewolf is a little harder to use, but I also think it helps with teens that are hiding in very, very hard to see locations. While yes, you do have to listen for the heartbeats, it's much easier than Wart, as Wart can confuse newer players to go towards the echo locations and not see anyone there. Plus, Werewolf's perks are actually pretty decent, all things considered. Next is something that every video ever made about VHS monsters is going to tell you. Stick to corners, hug walls. You're going to have to use that cover, and it's really your only main defense if your abilities are down. Don't worry too much about waiting for cooldowns. Like I said, the best way to learn is to go in and try to figure it out. That doesn't mean be dumb about it. Don't just run headfirst without a plan. Try to get a plan. Try to learn the maps while you're doing it. Try to learn what the weapons do, etc., etc. Next, I'm going to talk a little about perks. So, a lot of the good perks I would say you need to run are mostly all of Werewolf's perks. That being said, perks are not as prominent in this game, especially on the monster side, and not as necessary. You can get by without running a single perk. Honestly, my suggestion is just to focus on doing movies and trying to learn the character and try to get used to some mutations, try some stuff out, and just learn the maps. That's really all you can do. With the maps being talked about, that brings us into our next topic, which is learn the maps. Go into a custom game or learn them while you're playing. The maps are pretty static for 95% of them, other than the weapon table spawns. Other than that, though, the maps stay exactly the same. Just try to learn them, and when you watch teams, watch what they do, see where they go, see what their common loops are, which directions they take, what common corners they hide behind, all things like that. Once you start doing that, you'll start to get into the team's heads and be able to know what they do and be able to act accordingly. Now, I know a lot of these tips have been very generic and stuff you've probably heard before, but I just want to re-emphasize the point. Like I said before, once you get over that 7 to 8 hour hump, and I know that's asking a lot, I completely understand, but once you do, the game really does start to open up and become extremely, extremely fun as Monster. I really didn't want to get into anything specific like, oh, on this map you should do this, or you should activate this when this happens, because I feel like as a new Monster, that's stuff you're not really thinking about, and that just bogs down the learning experience to the point where you're just copying what I say. I would rather people try to figure it out and maybe make their own play styles and learn the maps on their own so the information actually sticks. I want to see this game succeed. I'm actually having a lot of fun with it as someone who used to play Dead by Daylight. I'm not done with Dead by Daylight, and I don't think this game is going to kill Dead by Daylight. I've never thought that even from day one, but it's a different game, and I am having a lot of fun with it, honestly, once I got over that hump. The last tip I'm going to give is probably the most generic tip, and that's play. Just play the game. You're gonna lose, you're gonna fail, you're gonna get some nice teams, some mean teams, some sweaty teams, some casual teams. Like I said, this community is actually very welcoming and has been extremely nice to me in particular, but to a lot of people. They will help you. Even the enemies will help you a lot of the time. Just ask for it. It's really all you gotta do. Go to the Discord. Go to other streamers. Go to other YouTubers. And just ask them if they can help you out with this game. I know it seems like a lot of work, and I understand that it kind of is to a degree, but this game isn't for everybody, but I think it should be. They just need to give it more of a chance. So this is the end of the video. This is where I try to put my preludes. So this week's video is a little off the cuff, no script or anything. I just kind of wanted to make a video this week about some tips. It's been a long week for me, and I'm trying to do at least one of these kinds of videos a week, so I kind of wanted to get this done as soon as I could. That being said, this is the obligatory part where I say subscribe and follow and like, and I really don't care if you do any of that. If you want to share it around, go ahead. If not, I perfectly understand. This is also where I'm going to plug my Twitch and my Twitter. I stream VHS 3 days a week, Tuesday through Thursdays, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. EST. And I do switch between Dead by Daylight and VHS, but for now it's VHS until the new chapter releases. That's going to date this video. But in any case, have a good one, guys, and just keep going. I promise it gets better. It really does. This game is so much fun once you know what you're doing. But in any case, have a good one, everyone, and bye.